What's happening, guys? It's Trey360 coming back at you for another video. Now, this time I have something a little bit different. Um, Rather than like having like a full like 30-minute video, I know that some of you guys are like in it for the battles, and seeing as I cut out trainer battles for the last one to kind of cut down on time, I'm actually on my main account here, and I'm just kind of showcasing a battle that I did on PvP. I don't think this one was ranked, but it's kind of hard to keep track of it all. But yeah, I'm just gonna be commentating over this battle. So this is my main team. I've got Rotom, Wash, Scizor, Volcarona, Gengar, Tyranitar, and Garchomp. Now this is before I knew that Sandvale was actually basically removed from the game as a PvP ability. So my plan was to have T-Tar come up and activate the sand, get some damage off, and just kind of keel over. And then I can have Garchomp come in with Sandvale and Bright Powder. Sandvale giving me a 20% chance to dodge a move, Bright Powder giving like a 30% chance to dodge a move. But that ended up not working out. So yeah, as I looked on the forum page as the battle, or right before the battle started. But yeah, I spent a decent amount of time putting this team together. This is all put together legit. I had to breed them up and, buy the necessary Pokemon needed for like IV farming and train them up with their EVs and stuff. My opponent here has a Cofagrigus with a Trick Room set. And really it does fit his team because the only fast Pokemon he has is Gengar. So what he's trying to do is set up Trick Room here so that he can get speed bonus. And he very intelligently goes for Will-O-Wisp on my T-Tar. I expected him to switch out because I thought that he would be afraid of the crunch. And I thought that, he would go into like Amon, like maybe Scizor, hoping to get a Bullet Punch or something. But he didn't do that, so I just decided to go in for an Earthquake. And seeing as he can't really hurt me, I just decided to take him out during the Sandstorm, just to try and kind of whittle down his other Pokemon. I did get the ability Mummy, so I did have to switch out, especially since I was sure that he was going to bring in Lapras here, which he ended up doing. And seeing that, I thought about just, going for the Rock Slide, because I'm like, yo, he's gonna expect me to switch, and Rock Slide does super effective damage even though I'm burned, and I got the flinch. So then after that I was like, okay, there's no way he's gonna expect me to do Rock Slide twice, so I'm gonna do Rock Slide twice, right? Like at this point I'm playing like super mind games here, and I actually get a second flinch, so it didn't even matter. And now I'm just like, yo, his Trick Room is actually putting in work for me, because I was faster. But as soon as Trick Room ran out, I was like, hey, I don't want to like kill off T-Tar because it's actually putting in work. So I threw in Scizor because I knew that it was going to go for like a Surf or something. And Scizor just kind of tanks the hit. The Scizor set that I'm running is a Technician Choice Band Bullet Punch set. So because Bullet Punch has less than, 60% or less base damage, it gets boosted by a Technician, which I believe is like 1.5 times or something. It gets the Stab from Bullet Punch, which is 1.2 times, and then the Choice Band also boosts that up. I knew that he was going for Sword Stance here, so I just decided to just Bullet Punch the Scizor, because the last thing I wanted was to just get swept by his Scizor, especially when I have faster Pokemon that can really benefit. I didn't want him setting up on me and ended up killing me. And he had a Life Orb set, so that's absolutely what he was trying to do. Here, I was thinking about throwing in Sepulcher, because I was like, man, he's definitely faster, but what if he just goes for Bullet Punch, If he just goes for Bullet Punch, then I'm screwed. So I decided to throw in Volcarona, basically either forcing him to switch or go for Bullet Punch, because I'm definitely faster with Volcarona, and Bullet Punch is not very effective damage, so he would have to switch, which he did. So I did Flamethrower here, and basically it didn't really matter what move I went for, because I highly doubted that he was going to go into his Lapras, since I had weakened it. And the Snorlax was taking a lot of damage, so here I had two plays. I thought about going to Sepulcher to bait out the Body Slam, and just kind of have it be immune. But I was sure that he had Crunch or something, he's just going to kill me. So I decided to set up Quiver Dance here and see how much damage he would actually do. And I actually got the Flame Body off, but I took way too much damage in the process. And seeing as even a paralyzed Volcarona is still useful to me, I decided here to just kind of switch out to Sepulcher. Hopefully baiting out the Body Slam again, he would miss. And then he ended up going for an Ice Punch. And that didn't do nearly as much damage because he was burned. So then I'm thinking, okay, so he has lefties, so he's getting healing. So instead of switching out and just whittling down my team, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw out a Sludge Bomb and see how much that does. I do have Life Orb on, so I'm kind of whittling away at my own health. But the only Pokemon that Sepulcher is useful for is really Venusaur here. Because it has Psychic and it can take out Venusaur with Life Orb. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep Sepulcher for that Venusaur because now that Scizor is dead and Volcarona is paralyzed, a lot of the Pokemon that I have to cover Venusaur are, you know, gone. So I decided to throw in Tina since, you know, she doesn't really have any more use in this battle by and large. So I was like, I can at least take out the Snorlax. And if I'm remembering correctly, my opponent actually decided to keep the Snorlax in. I think it would have been far better for him if he would have switched out Snorlax and just sacked the Lapras, because the Lapras was already dead anyway, so that he could get a free switch in on his Scizor and threaten me with Bullet Punch. But he didn't do that, and so basically my plan here was to just kind of throw out Tina and just deal massive amounts of damage. He does take a while here to decide. I think he may have been considering the play that I mentioned earlier, but it's hard to really tell because I don't know my opponent's brain exactly. But I went for the Rock Slide, got the flinch, and then I'm also getting the damage from Sandstorm, so his leftovers doesn't mean really much of anything anymore. So with that, you know, I knew that this Snorlax was going down, or at the very least I could finish it because I have faster Pokemon, and his Trick Room Setter's gone. Mainly, my main, that Ice Punch did nothing after the burn. But my main worry was that Cofagrigus would be around to set up Trick Room, and his Scizor could get Sword Stance up under Trick Room and be faster than basically my entire team. And also, oops, I shook my mouse. And also, you know, just wreak havoc with a +2 Scizor, and I did not want it. I did not want any of it. He ended up throwing Gengar out here. I really didn't see a reason to switch, so I just went for Crunch. I knew that he was going to take me out because I was just like, there's no reason for him not to. But Tina had done more than enough work, so I just decided to sack her. Moving on from that, I decided to throw out my Rotom Wash because honestly, I'm just looking for Pokemon to sack while I get residual Sandstorm damage here. Because I don't know if the Gengar is actually faster than my Garchomp. Theoretically, it shouldn't be, but since I need to stop kicking my desk. But since, you know, this is PokeMMO and it's not Pokemon Showdown or anything, I don't have perfect IVs on any of my Pokemon, you know? So it was just kind of a dangerous thing to just kind of play around with, so I didn't want to throw out Garchomp. I would rather the Gengar guaranteed die due to Sandstorm than mess around and end up losing my Gengar. And I think that Gengar was actually Choice Specs because it went for another Energy Ball there when it definitely could have picked up the KO on Volcarona. But yeah, so Volcarona now has a speed boost, and he throws out Scizor, so his only real option is to Bullet Punch. I have to sack Volcarona here because I don't want to take excess damage on anything. And I'm going to just turn off my mouse, which I probably should have done in the beginning. But hey, you get raw footage here. You get to see my mistakes. I'm not going to try and cover them up. Yeah, now he's not locked into Bullet Punch, but basically Scizor v Ryuga or V Garchomp is not that great of a matchup for Scizor. So I just decided to go for Earthquake here because I was like, if he goes for Bullet Punch, I mean, he's gonna die anyway. And if he goes for something else, then he's too slow. So then he throws out his Venusaur. Now his Venusaur is a huge problem. Basically, I've kept Sepulchre alive this entire time, banking off of one-shotting this Venusaur with Psychic. So what I did was I went for Earthquake here. And I wanted to get mad damage off. This Venusaur did have Sleep Powder and it hit. And I had two options. I could switch into Sepulchre and possibly get hit. There's a sleep clause, so it's not like you can put all my Pokemon to sleep. But I could have switched to Sepulchre, and if he had like any attacking move at all, right? Any attacking move at all, he would just take me out. And over there, I'm looking up the sleep turns for Sleep Powder. He would KO Sepulchre, and it's basically over because he could just keep putting me to sleep, keep using Leech Seed, and he's got leftovers, so it would just be a done deal. So I decided to just burn off my sleep turns and just go for Earthquake. He switched to Lapras. If I were him, I wouldn't have switched to Lapras because Lapras is a Pokemon that is basically the only Pokemon that can just take out Ryuga in one shot with an Ice Beam, or two shots really, because I doubt his team was also built perfectly. But it was kind of risky for him throwing in Lapras there because I had already been through like two sleep turns? So like, if I had woken up that turn, I would have been faster and I just would have taken out Lapras and it was a done deal. But it turned out working out in his favor because he did get the full 3 turns of sleep there. And so he took out my Garchomp. And so now I'm just like, man, I really hope that my Gengar can handle this Venusaur. So I did max out the special attack and the speed, so I knew I'd be faster. I knew I'd hit like a truck, but I didn't know if I would kill him, and I did not. And I had Life Orb damage. So if he had any attacking move whatsoever, this is game. He hit the Sleep Powder, you know, it was just game, but I had no other options. I thought about forfeiting, but I was like, you know what? It's kind of weird that he chose to put me to sleep rather than take me out. So I'm just going to keep spamming Psychic and see how far I get. And it turns out he had like no attacking moves, like whatsoever. Because if he did, there's no reason that, you know, he should have lost this, which he did lose. But man, it was incredibly close. If I had stayed asleep for another turn, I actually would have lost. But Sepulchre was coming in clutch and decided to wake up, and I just picked up the KO. And I died due to Life Orb, but since he KO'd first, I ended up winning. So it was just an amazing battle, and I was very, very, very pleased with it. Could not be happier. I did pretty much everything that I could do to ensure maximizing my chances of winning. There were some plays I could have played better. Ultimately, I think that I did a pretty good job, but you know, there's always things that you can do better, and that's why I kind of say this video here to kind of like reflect on it, seeing as it was a close match. And it was a very good match, very well played from my opponent as well. No discredit to him. And here I believe I'm just showing like the stat spread of my Pokemon. Most of these I bred myself, but some of them, like I think Scizor and Volcarona, I just bought off of the global trade store because I was like, man, they're reasonably priced and they have very good stats. But most of these I bred myself. As you can see, I don't really care about stats like speed or special attack for T-Tar because there's no real need for them. I'm not running a Choice Scarf T-Tar set, so I don't really care if those stats are maxed out, even though it would be helpful, I guess, in certain situations. I mainly just care about the key stats, and now that this is up here, I'm going to show you, or pause the video, and go over them. So, basically, as long as it's above 20, I consider them usable for competitive play in their key stats. So for Tyranitar, for instance, her attack stat, her special defense stat, and her defense stat, and her HP stat all had to be above 20 for me to consider using Tyranitar. And I also put a smooth rock on T-Tar so that the sand would last 8 turns, which actually probably ended up winning me the game, because without that, the Gengar on his side would have lived. Over for Garchomp here on the second column, I got really lucky when breeding, and I had like, I think like an 18% chance or whatever to get 31 defense IVs, and I ended up getting it. 30 speed IVs and 26 attack, but Garchomp actually has a neutral nature, I believe, or maybe a nature that boosts special defense and lowers special attack or something like that. But nothing that boosts speed, which is what I would rather have. This Volcarona I just bought off the store, and it ran me like, I think like 150,000, 200,000. But that's because the Volcarona doesn't have perfect stats, and it actually has 15 in special defense. But the cool thing is that it has 31 in HP and 29 in special attack with 24 in speed, and Volcarona is already fast. I thought about running an extra life orb on it, but I was kind of tight on money after all that breeding, and Expert Belt does basically enough for me. And considering the fact that I don't have a beneficial nature in speed, I decided to go with the Expert Belt rather than the life orb because I don't want to be dealing extra damage to myself. As for Sepulcher, my Gengar, this is probably one of the best Pokemon that I've bred. I got great speed stat, great defense stat, great special attack stat, and the special defense stat is actually pretty good. Same with HP. As for the Rotom was definitely the most expensive Pokemon to breed, because after you finally finish breeding a Rotom, right, you have to pay 50,000, I think it was, or 25,000, to go to the Galactic Hideout in the Sinnoh region to transform it into a Rotom of a form like Wash, Heat, or whatever. And so that ran me an extra 25,000, which I didn't expect. And finding the secret room was actually pretty hard. I'll make a video of it if you guys want. Message me in the comments if you want to know where to get the Rotom forms. But the cool thing is, after you spend the 25k, you do get to transform your Rotom into a form, and it actually gets a move that's beneficial for it. So my Rotom got Hydro Pump. I would assume that Rotom Mo would get Leaf Storm, Rotom Frost probably like Blizzard or something, and Rotom Heat probably Overheat, but I'm just guessing. I don't know. I haven't spent all that money to figure out what each of the Rotom forms get as their move. Then lastly, the Scizor I bought from the store as well, and that's just because it was just good. I think it has like a nature that boosts attack but lowers speed or whatever, and for whatever reason someone put it up on the market. They didn't like it. But the set that I'm running doesn't rely on speed in the slightest, because I use Bullet Punch mainly to just get mad damage off when they expect me to switch, and it's more because it's Stab, Choice Band, and Technician boosted, so it's crazy amounts of damage. And if this Scizor had a beneficial attacking nature with like minus special attack and like 31 IVs in attack, it would be hitting even harder. But yeah, I chose to do that to get quick damage rather than relying on Sword Stance, and it actually ended up paying off. But yeah, that's about all there is to cover in the battle. For the items for my Garchomp and my Rotom Wash, because you can't see them, Rotom Wash is carrying Leftovers, and what is Garchomp carrying? I believe Garchomp was carrying Bright Powder for this battle. Because I didn't know that the evasion clause kicked in until the battle actually started, because I was looking it up on the forums. But now I've taken off the oh, what's it called? I just said it, the Bright Powder, and I replaced it with a Dragon's Claw or Dragon's Fang or whatever, to boost the Dragon type moves by 1.2. And the only reason I'm not doing Outrage on my Garchomp, by the way, before you even ask, is because Outrage is actually lower base power in this game than I believe it was in the original games. Either that or I'm tripping. But I think in the normal games, Outrage has like 120 base power, something ridiculous like that, which off a Stab and Choice Band makes Garchomp like obviously the best Pokemon, even though it's already the best Pokemon in Pokemon meta, in my opinion. But yeah, Garchomp is heavily nerfed in PokeMMO because I believe Outrage only does like 90 base power in this game, which is a huge nerf. So it's no point in running Choice Band on it, because like, why would I run Choice Band, get stuck in the battle using Outrage, get confused, and I'm not even doing them crazy amounts of damage that it's known for. There's no real reason for it, so I don't really care about running Choice Band on it, so I'd rather have the versatility of Garchomp's moveset. I do wish that hidden abilities were added, simply because currently Garchomp basically doesn't have an ability in PvP, and I think that's something really important to talk about in the Pokemon community, because I mean, while I get it, right? I think that Sandvale should be banned because it would be broken. Because I was trying to run the sleaziest set, and I'm glad it's actually banned, because if I were able to do that, it would basically make Garchomp like an Ubermon that's not a legendary, which currently PokeMMO does not have. So I'm glad that they banned Sandvale, but at the same time, I really think that they need to add in hidden abilities so that Garchomp can get Rough Skin, because currently it's just kind of wrong to have Garchomp here, and it's like literally one of the only Pokemon that just doesn't have an ability. Sandvale is the only ability that it gets outside of hidden abilities. Hidden abilities aren't in Pokemon, and Sandvale is banned for PvP, so therefore Garchomp's just kind of ability-less. It's still a great Pokemon, as you saw from that battle, but I just wish that hidden abilities could come in. But the dev team of PokeMMO are hardworking, and they're always updating, and they're always working out new things to add and implement. As seen with Sinnoh, amazing region, very well done, and actually done pretty fast when you consider that, what was it, 2018, when Black and White was released, which was a huge undertaking because it's a different art style from literally every other game. But yeah, shoutouts to the devs and the Pokemon community. Shoutouts to my opponent, and thank you guys for watching. That's pretty much all I have to say. I've kind of rambled on for longer than I expected. It's supposed to only be like 20 minutes, but it's like 22 right now. But yeah, if you want more of these quick, like just little PvP battles that I do on my main account, or if you want content from my main account covering things that are kind of hard to, you know, just know, like for instance, I can do like a breeding tutorial. I can, because breeding these mons probably took me like, yikes. Volcarona and Sizzle were bought, but breeding the 4 mons that I have probably only took me like 3 days max. And that's like me being distracted playing other games and stuff and doing homework. So breeding is actually pretty easy in this game. But yeah, if you guys want something like that, where to find the Word Time forums, breeding guide, or competitive Pokemon guide, I'll have to brush up on it, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm no Pokeaim, I'm no Blunder. I'm not like an Amadeus at this game, but I can hold my own. But yeah, if you want anything like that, be sure to mention in the comments below. Nothing's out of consideration so long as it's in PokeMMO. So yeah, just mention it and I will research it and probably cover it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more of its kind, then please hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I will see you guys later.